Ministry of Finance to dig out the root cause of corruption exposed by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. We have the report in our bulletin today. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Nahawa Kajura, but first are the headlines. Museveni Tshisekedi break ground for construction of badly needed Democratic Republic of Congo roads. And World marks Desertification and Drought Day. And in our sports today, Uganda Premier League makes adjustments in kick-off time for remaining games. And now, once again, thank you so much for joining us. And Africa Today starts with one of our top stories. The newly approved Prime Minister of State and Finance, Henry Musasizi, has pledged to whip out corruption practices in the Ministry of Finance, which was exposed by His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. We have more on this report.
The president recently said that some officials in the Ministry of Finance promote corruption in this ministry and share the money. However, Musasizi said that he would dig out the root cause of corruption and strengthen internal control process to prevent those with bad intentions to flout the system for their selfish intentions. He said that he will focus on improving Uganda's economy where there is better cheap cost of transport of goods.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Now, the Parliament's Appointment Committee is expected today to conclude the vetting exercise of the 79 appointed ministers. Today, 21 appointed ministers are expected to be approved by the committee chaired by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among. We have more on this report.
If all approved, this will mean that all the 79 ministers will start their duties soon after swearing in that is scheduled to take place next week at the State House in Entebbe. Among those to be approved is the State Minister for Internal Affairs, General David Muhoozi, Minister of State for ICT, Joyce Sebugwao, Minister of State for Health General Duties, Margaret Muhanga, and others.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Now, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and his counterpart, Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo, on Wednesday held the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of road networks connecting the two countries at the function held at Mbondwe Bridge that separates the two countries. We have more on this report.
Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo signed major agreements that will see the two countries bolster cross-border trade and development and stabilize Eastern Congo that is wrought with pockets of instability. At the function, the two presidents also officially opened the Mpondwe Bridge in Kasese district, located on the Kampala-Mubende-Fort Portal, Uganda/DRC border road, and runs over River Lubiliha at the Uganda Democratic Republic of Congo border. The Mpondwe Bridge project, undertaken by the Uganda National Roads Authority, was undertaken to replace the old Bailey Bridge, which was deemed unsafe for the heavy vehicular traffic that comprises of heavy cargo trucks due to wear and tear. Uganda is said to construct 223 kilometers of roads inside the Democratic Republic of Congo to a tune of shillings 243.7 billion, where the first 80-kilometer road will run from Kasindi to Beni. The second 54-kilometer road will integrate the Beni-Butebo axis. The third road will move for 89 kilometers from the border town of Bunagana through Rushuru to the strategic city of Goma, the capital of the North Kivu province in DRC.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Now, moving on, Uganda has received over 175,200 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine donated by the French government through the COVAX facility to help the country fight the deadly disease. The vaccines landed at Entebbe Airport aboard a KLM flight and were received by officials from the Ministry of Health and National Medical Stores.
According to the National Medical Stores Principal Public Relations Officer, after receiving the doses at Entebbe on Wednesday night, the AstraZeneca vaccines were then taken to their cold rooms in Entebbe, where they will be dispatched to health facilities and vaccination centers across the country. The arrival of a third batch is a sigh of relief to the population after the country ran short of the vaccines, a situation that frustrated government efforts to vaccinate the high-risk people. The 175,200 doses of AstraZeneca received yesterday is in addition to the 864,000 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine received in March by the Ministry of Health. Uganda targets to vaccinate 49.6% of the population, which is about 21,936,011 in a phased manner. Each phase is planned to cover 20% of the population, approximately 4.38 million people.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Now let's go for a quick break. We shall come back with more news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. Well, in our international news today, as the world is marking the Desertification and Drought Day on Thursday, the 17th of June, more than 1,000 animals died on a Northern Cape game farm over the last few months, as South Africa's entire Kalahari region is being crippled by one of the worst droughts locals have ever seen. We have more on this report.
South African countries are currently experiencing low harvests due to poor rainfall, with some countries struggling to tackle extreme water shortages. The situation is more serious as the local flora and fauna, which are used to protect climatic conditions, struggle to survive. Farmers have lost crops and animals to the ongoing famine, and the worst is yet to come. Extreme drought is also affecting animals, especially those owned by farmers, leading to poor harvests and low animal products. Even as the region enters its much anticipated rainy season, the farms and their animals will need more than a year to recover, and many simply don't have that long.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Now let's turn your attention to Ethiopia, which is preparing to hold crucial twice-delayed legislative elections across the country on June 21st, despite growing concern over the credibility of the vote as well as famine in war-torn Tigray. We have more.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, appointed in 2018 after years of anti-government unrest, craves a popular mandate through competitive elections to cement a promised democratic rebirth in Africa's second most populous nation. The Nobel Peace Prize winner is pushing ahead with the election despite ongoing fighting and a humanitarian crisis in Tigray, where voting will not proceed on Monday, along with some other restive parts of the country. Opposition parties in other pivotal regions are boycotting the election, the sixth since the end of military rule in Ethiopia 30 years ago. All previous ballots fell short of international standards for fairness, and Abiy, who won early praise for embarking on democratic and economic reforms, insists that June 21st will mark a departure from the authoritarian past.
Well, thank you so much, Harry Potter. Now, moving on, supporters of the former Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo bought t-shirts and painted the headquarters of his Ivorian Popular Front movement one day before he returns to the country for the first time since 2011.
The return of Gbagbo from Brussels to the Ivory Coast became possible in March when the International Criminal Court appeals judges upheld the acquittals of the former president and former minister Charles Blay Goudet on charges of involvement in deadly post-election violence in 2010 and 2011. Both were acquitted in 2019 of responsibility for crimes including murder, rape, and prostitution following disputed presidential elections in 2010, with judges saying prosecutors failed to approve their case. The arrival of the former president is also creating expectations about the release of those imprisoned during the riots 10 years ago and reaching a real deal to reconcile the country where thousands were killed 10 years ago. Gbagbo was the first former president to go on trial at the global court, and his case was seen as a milestone in efforts to bring justice, even the highest-ranking leaders accused of atrocities.
Well, thank you so much, Ari. But now let's turn your attention to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where officials from the Congolese Airways Authority and the Aviation Authority of the country have rushed to the scene where a small plane belonging to the Congolese company Kin Avia crashed on Wednesday for investigations.
The plane descended a few minutes after taking off from Kavumu Airport near Bukavu, capital of South Kivu province, in the east of the country, about 1,500 kilometers east of Kinshasa. Mugori Bujiriri, a Bukavu Red Cross volunteer who described the horrific scene, said the small turboprop late L410 aircraft crashed at about noon. This type of small aircraft is the main means of transporting basic necessities and minerals in the landlocked east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The L410 is a twin-engine turboprop built by the Czech firm late and put into service in the early 1970s. It can carry 15 to 19 passengers, all cargo. Investigators seek to ascertain the root cause of the cargo flight's crash, in which all three people aboard, the Russian pilot, the Congolese co-pilot, and a passenger, lost their lives.
You're still watching Africa Today. Let's go for a quick break. We shall come back with our business news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. Now, moving on in a business news today, the stone weighing 1,098 carats was shown to President Mokwesi Masisi 2 weeks after the diamond firm Debswana unearthed it. Our reporter Nalugo has more.
The huge gem discovered in Africa's largest producer of diamonds is only slightly less heavy than the world's second largest diamond, which was also found in Botswana in 2015. Lynette Armstrong, Debswana Diamond Company's acting managing director, said that this was the largest diamond to be recovered by Debswana in its history of over 50 years in operation. Debswana is a joint venture between the government and global diamond giant De Beers, and up to 80% of the income from sales goes to state coffers through dividends, royalties, and taxes. An estimate of the stone's potential cost has not yet been released, but in 2017, the second largest diamond ever found, Lesedi La Rona, was sold for $53 million, approximately 39.5 million euros. The biggest diamond ever discovered was the 3,106 carat Cullinan diamond, found in South Africa in 1905. Botswana's Minerals Minister Lefoko Moaji said the latest find could not have come at a better time for Botswana after the pandemic caused diamond sales to slump last year.
Away from business, in our health news today now, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced stringent measures to curb the third wave of coronavirus, where he extended the curfew hours, prohibited the sale of alcohol, among other measures, to fight the spread of the virus. We have more.
In a nationally televised address, President Cyril Ramaphosa said that over the last 7 days, South Africa has recorded an average of 7,500 daily infections, with an increase in hospital admissions over the last 14 days, and the average number of people who die from COVID-19 each day increasing by 48% from 535 2 weeks ago to 791 in the past 7 days. South Africa's 7-day rolling average of daily new cases has nearly doubled over the past 2 weeks, from 6.69 new cases per 100,000 people on May 31st to 12.71 new cases per 100,000 people on June 14th, according to Johns Hopkins University. The nightly curfew has been extended by an hour from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., while religious gatherings indoors are now limited to 50 people. The number of people allowed to gather for social events has been limited to 50 people for indoor events and 100 people for outdoor events. The retail sale of alcohol will only be permitted between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. from Monday through Thursday. Doses of Pfizer vaccine are being used to inoculate people aged 60 and over. About 1.4 million people have received their first dose of the Pfizer vaccine. According to Ramaphosa, South Africa is expecting to receive 3.1 million Pfizer doses by the end of June.
Thank you so much, our reporter. Now, in Africa Today Sports, the Uganda Premier League Secretariat has made adjustments in kick-off time for the remaining matches of the 2020-2021 campaign. According to a letter written to all the 16 clubs, the league organizers have moved kick-off time from 4 p.m. to 3 p.m. Our reporter has more.
According to the statement, the Uganda Premier League Secretariat adjusted the kick-off time for all the remaining start times Uganda Premier League fixtures to 3 p.m. effective Friday, 18th June 2021, considering the government partial lockdown due to the prevailing COVID-19 situation in the country. According to the Secretariat, the change in the Premier League kick-off time is aimed at helping teams travel in time after games in order to beat the 9 p.m. curfew time. The 2020-2021 season still has 28 games left, with Express Football Club still top of the log with 58 points, one above second-placed Uganda Revenue Authority Football Club. The campaign is expected to come to an end on 30th June 2021.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Now, before we end the bulletin, let's have a recap of our top stories. Museveni Tshisekedi break ground for construction of badly needed Democratic Republic of Congo roads. And World marks Desertification and Drought Day. And in our sports today, Uganda Premier League makes adjustments in kick-off time for remaining games. Thank you so much for joining us. From where we started from, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.
This is Africa, and that was the news.